Welcome, adventurers, to another exciting episode of Character Talks, where we delve deep into the lives of extraordinary individuals who embody the essence of character. Today, we have the absolute pleasure of sitting down with the one and only BJ Griffin, a beacon of light in a world brimming with curiosity and love. So picture this, a soul whose every breath resonates with the melody of life, whose very existence embodies the word transformation in its purest form. BJ Griffin isn't just your ordinary musician. He's a virtuoso whose melodies tug at heartstrings and ignite the spirit of those who listen. But wait, there's more. BJ isn't content with just making beautiful music. He is a tireless community advocate, a passionate learner, and an explorer of the depths, both figuratively and literally. From the stage to the ocean's depths, BJ Griffin is a force to be reckoned with. He's not just diving into the sea, he's diving into the essence of humanity, seeking understanding and connection, and really beginning to understand the importance of self-love. Oh, and did we mention he's the mastermind behind Dive for Peace, an organization that provides illuminating experiences around the sport of freediving with a goal of inner peace. Join us as we unravel the layers of BJ Griffin's remarkable journey, a journey filled with music, service, and an insatiable thirst for exploration. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and maybe even serenaded by the melodies of transformation as we dive headfirst into the extraordinary life of BJ Griffin.
In Character Talks, we aim to unearth the hidden gems of human resilience, courage, and growth. We bring you tales of ordinary people who found themselves in extraordinary circumstances and emerged from the crucible of life forever changed. From tales of facing fear head-on, to serendipitous encounters that altered destinies, and from travels to distant lands that broadened horizons. To battles fought within, we believe that every experience holds the potential to shape us in profound ways. I'm Chris Christie, and this is Character Talks.
Just after it's been cut, and wade through the stream or maybe run through the river, even though you may get just a little bit wet. A bum bum sheeto, a bum bum sheeto. Wow, 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 wow. This is life.
All right, BJ, welcome to Character Talks. As we were just chatting before we got started, it is funny the correlations and the connections that we've had and the number of times that I've watched you and listened to you on other podcasts. So I'm excited that we get a chance to sit and chat. So thank you for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I remember when I was down in Virginia Beach and someone pointed you out and just commented on all of the things that you do for the community down in Virginia Beach. And so I started kind of digging in a little bit further, and your story is it's inspirational. And that's why I felt it was really important to get you on the podcast, because that's what the idea of the podcast is to find relatable people that I think people will be able to use their story and their information to perhaps take that first step for their own adventure, for their own changes in their life. And so this is great. So would you give us a couple minutes of kind of the Cliff Notes version of BJ, your story? I know it all started in Detroit, I believe, but got to give us as much detail as you want. And
goodness,
and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, I'll do the Cliff Notes version. Okay, so I am this crazy star child. I hail from Detroit, Michigan. I was born in Detroit, right down the street from Motown. So Motown's in my blood. My mom remarried when I was 3, and I ended up moving to Virginia Beach. And I grew up here in this beautiful beach town. I grew up in a really nice military town. My stepfather was in the military, and in 5th grade, and that's where I ended up starting to be a musician. My grandmother from Detroit sent our family violin down to Virginia and said, "It's time for you to play the violin." And that's how it started. In 6th grade, I got voluntold to play cello because I was the only kid big enough to play. And cello took over my life. I fell in love with it, chose me. And ended up studying classical music all the way up through college. And then after college, moved to New York for a little bit, realized I didn't like New York.
Yeah.
And I moved back to Virginia Beach, and I took a job teaching in the public schools, an awesome program. And while I was teaching, I realized I wanted to perform also. So I started doing open mics. I got with one of my best friends now, a guy I went to college with, Basin Brown, and we started doing open mics. I started a band, started a duo, and it just grew and grew and grew. I started writing original music, and I got the opportunity to open for some amazing people, Lionel Richie, Ms. Lauryn Hill, and just my career just kept growing and growing, and just really blossomed as a musician, and started being involved in the community, doing some curation of music also. But then in 2020, during the pandemic, when everything stopped, especially music, and us musicians, we were like, what are we gonna do? We don't have, we can't get furloughed or anything. So, things became really disparaging, and oh my goodness, it was horrible. And we were all looking for ways to feel better. And right before the pandemic, I had actually, with my girlfriend at the time, we took a trip down to Florida because I was obsessed with this place called Devil's Den. And it was this spring that I just kept seeing online, and I didn't know what a spring was. I didn't know what I just was, for some reason, I was energetically drawn to it. And we drove all the way from Virginia to Florida, to Williston, Florida. And I took my first dive in the spring, and it was just this beautiful spiritual experience, like the water was calling me. I remember the video, the first time seeing this video, it was just like, I was one with the water. And a friend from Virginia Beach that had moved to Florida at the time, I said, "Oh, my friend lives near here." And my friend Andrew, who had moved to Florida, he was a manatee tour boat captain and a free diver. And so I met up with him, and he introduced me to free diving. This was 2019, and I got hooked. It was just, there was nothing like it. I was terrible at it at first. And then fast forward to 2020, when everything was just collapsing around me, and my mental health was struggling. And I just decided, since there wasn't much going on in Virginia, I was going to start going to Florida and free diving. And it just became this whole lifestyle for me. It became not even just a lifestyle; it became a religion almost. It became such a spiritual experience that enhanced my life. And my buddy Andrew and I, we just started inviting our friends to dive with us during the pandemic, and it ended up turning into a business, or a organization we call Dive for Peace. And we invite people to the water for healing experiences through free diving and scuba diving.
That's amazing.
I think that
Wow.
sums it up.
Yeah, well, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Sure. I want to dive into music, because I will tell you that music saved my life. There was a time in my early 20s, I was just an angry young man for no reason. Single mom, didn't have anything except my athleticism, but I found that I was just had a bad temper, and one day I decided I didn't want that. And I remember for nights on end literally dancing all night long in my living room to Bob Marley music, because it just calmed me. So reggae music has had such a huge influence on me. I'm convinced I'm going to learn how to play the guitar. That's on my life list for this winter, because I love music. I just, for whatever reason, haven't been able to play it. But what is it about music for you? I mean, is it the creative side? Is it what you make other people feel? Is it what makes you feel? But what's the real draw to music?
Wow, I love this question so much. Music has recently, I've come to really truly understand the power that music has over me and a lot of, I mean, most of humanity. and it's actually through, I just got certified in sound healing,
Oh,
and I now understand on a scientific level how frequency affects our cells. And then I take this understanding now and I rewind all the way back to when I was in middle school and I would get upset with my parents. And the only thing that would make me feel better is to go and practice my cello. And I would practice for hours and hours and hours. And that's how my parents knew I was mad. And just looking at instances like that, to where, music was the only thing that made me feel better. Music saved my life too in so many ways. And you look how music affects dementia patients, but and then I think about my knowledge and the way I felt about that reaction to even, hearing you say how music affects you. And it was just this innate comfort. But now that I understand on a cellular level, music is actually healing our bodies. And it's of course, it's tranquil for the mind and affects the emotions, but it also affects our bodies, and our bodies are attracted to that. And it's such a wonderful, wonderful, powerful tool of healing in this world. And I'm so grateful to know it on an intimate level and share it on an intimate level.
yeah. Is there a specific type of music that is proven to be more healing, or series of notes, or a certain octave that is more healing that you found?
Well,
This
for
is this
me,
is fascinating. That's why it's I
yeah, no, it's so cool. I'm so excited to share it now. I mean, I literally just got the certification this year, and I'm continuing training, and I don't think I'm gonna be a practitioner, but yeah, the as with frequency, there's certain frequencies that I found to be more healing, and the fifth, the 1 to 5 interval is said to be so healing, and it balances. If you use tuning forks, it can balance the hemispheres of your brain using a fifth around your brain. And
okay.
like I said, the knowledge I have now, rewinding to when I would just play my open strings on the cello, which is tuned in Pythagorean tuning, which is a fifth, C to G. I would just play it over and over and over sometimes, and that, I mean, that was part of my practicing, getting the bowing right. And that, I realized, was just, I've been a sound healer since the beginning. And I didn't know it, and
Wow.
most people don't even know that there's just so much actual physical, tangible healing that comes from sound. And I'm just, yeah, it's amazing.
Do you see that affecting your creativity moving forward with your songwriting, and do you see that being part of the process, the creative process?
This new knowledge I have about sound definitely affects the way I write, the way I sing, the way I perform. Just thinking about it, how intentional I can be with this powerful tool. It makes me emotional right now thinking about it, actually, that that there's us musicians and us performers, we have the power to heal, and using that wisely and efficiently is really important to me. And so it definitely has affected how I approach music in general, listening, performing, everything.
That's amazing. Yeah, you mentioned music as a tool. So then the other question I was thinking of, what is it about free diving? Like, what's the feeling? You mentioned spiritual, but is there, can you just elaborate a little? Because I have a couple friends that free dive. I have a hard enough I could free dive in my bathtub probably, and that's probably would be the extent of it. So, but what is it about free diving? I mean, you mentioned the calling that brought you down to Devil's Den. But what is it about free diving that's so spiritual, or what happens to your character? What happens to you when you're free dive?
Something that I honestly just connected the dots on, in this interview with you, this podcast. The absence of music in my life. I wasn't able to perform anymore, and I was distraught because that was my identity. That was who I thought I was only. And with the absence of that, I found free diving, which is something that I free diving is something that I never thought would compare to music. I thought there was nothing that could compare to playing or performing music. I thought there was nothing that would give me that feeling. Nothing could come close to it. And then I found freediving, which is obviously something totally different, but it was totally fulfilling on the level of spiritual fulfillment that music gave me. So freediving changed my perspective on, I wasn't a musical snob or anything like that, but I was just like, either you're a musician or you're not. And or or either you studied music or but I was definitely, you know, hoarding music and something like it was just so special. And then I found freediving, which gave me this freedom of in the body and the mind that I didn't ever think I would find that music did as well. Diving in the water, holding your breath, apnea is what is called. My first free diving instructor, Tanner, from Depthwish Freediving, he described it as enlightenment through apnea, and I was like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. And then studying with him and holding your breath and diving in the water, it's just this other world because it's nobody but you, your heartbeat, and the water. And what it does is gives you this tranquil feeling, not without going into the science of it. It transforms your consciousness to being totally present, and you let go of everything. There's no sound, there's no weight. It's just you, the dive rope, or you and yourself and what's around you. And that's something I never thought I'd find, because that's the way I felt when I'm performing. And I never thought I'd find something that could compare to the way I feel with music.
That's super powerful. As you're talking about being in the water and being calm and tranquil, I think for those that are listening, I will make sure I include all the links, because some of your photos of your free diving, they are, I just clearly the creative process continues when you free dive, and not just in music. It certainly is an expression, but I'm thinking that the average person, if they went to free dive, that area when they go underwater would be so noisy, of so many different voices, of everything that could go wrong and what am I doing. And so it's interesting that you explain free diving and the opportunity to be tranquil and calm. Was there ever a time when you started that you were you scared and have all the voices, or was it you got there and the water was that instant calling?
would say that I would say that there is not an absence of fear. It's I approach fear as an opportunity to overcome. And even if it's a small, tiny fear, I approach it as like, okay, I observe the feeling and then I keep going, especially with free diving. I mean, yeah, ask any free diver as there's this process where before you dive, where you're holding on to the dive buoy and you're breathing up, is what they call it, and you're just calming your system before you take your peak inhalation and then hold your breath and dive. And that's the time where those thoughts, intrusive thoughts, can come in, and I get really excited about it actually because it gives me the opportunity to calm those thoughts and focus on just my breath. And it's a meditation. It's a release of self. It's an ego death every time. And that practice can carry over into the rest of your life. That's why I love free diving so much. It's because I take what I learned from free diving and I bring it to every part of my life. And even music. I mean, there's some parts of music where I have to do that same thing. When you're right before you perform, you get nervous, and or you get, even if it's not physical nervousness, you start those intrusive thoughts come in, and you have to meditate into calmness and into just being in the moment. And then I brought that into freediving, and then I bring the freediving, what I learned from there, into my music. So it's just this beautiful symbiotic relationship between the two of them that I find it's so different, such a different action and different sport, but there's so much learning that overlaps, and then I bring those into my normal everyday life, and I I'm always free diving. I'm always, calm and tranquil.
That's so powerful. And I love your comment, ego death, because that really is, that is so important, whether it's through meditation, free diving. The ego is such a bad place to be with so I love that you said the ego death. So part of character talks, as we talked about, is that one word that defines who you are or your character, or just is an important word for you. What is your one word?
Oh, this is so tough. I literally have two, but in this moment, the one word that is calling to me more now is transformation.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And you have two words, so you know
Um,
what that means is that you're just going to have to come back another time and do another podcast.
I love it. I'm ready. I love it. Yeah, transformation. I actually, my real name is John Batiste, and my nickname is BJ. It stands for Baby John. And but and then my diving nickname is Dolphin, so people call me Finn. But then when I was in the Maldives, I met an Indian guy who I was telling about. I didn't really identify with my name anymore. I didn't really like my name. I was given this name. And he said, "Well, what do you want to choose? You want to choose your name?" I was like, "I do." And I wanted it to be in Sanskrit. And he said, "Well, let's choose it." I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm not ready." So we went through it, and it was between dive. It was a dive trip, and I actually decided that my soul name was transformation in Sanskrit, which is Parivartanam, and it just means it was such a profound moment because Parivartanam, Pari means angel, Parivar means family, and Parivartanam means transformation. And yeah, so that's the word.
That's powerful. Yeah, I love Sanskrit. I Sanskrit on my wrist, that is mudita, which essentially is
Ooh,
taking pleasure in the success and happiness of others.
beautiful.
It,
Oh,
yeah, and then
that
on my other wrist is the Japanese ikigai, which in
Ikigai,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So those are my two. So while I'm working, I can constantly see that this is what gets me up in the morning, and this is why I do it.
Mhm.
So it's
You're inspiring me to get. I have one tattoo on my leg. It's a Griffin, and that was so tough. But I want Ikigai on my body somewhere for sure. So you're inspiring me for sure.
that's that's awesome. Transformation. I'm are there other ways? And when you say transformation, is there something specific that pops into your mind that I would think transformation for most people is going from one thing to another. And what does transformation mean to you? Like how would you know that you have transformed? I hate to say that, but how would you know that is occurring? Or and I guess the second part to that is, what's the steps? Because I think, again, a lot of people, listeners, have visions, like they see themselves doing something, being something, and that's something I'm very much big on, is being. How did you start that process? Like what was your thought process to either start the transformation, and then if you transformed or got to that point, how did you then recognize that you had gotten to that point?
Yes, transformation to me is a thick meaning. It there's so many words I can say. There's so many ways to look at it. There's so many examples I can make, but it really comes down to actually, yeah, transformation is the word, but the other word is gratitude. Uh,
Okay.
it really comes down to gratitude because I don't think I think transformation is the ultimate goal, and then gratitude is a state. And for me, acknowledging the state of gratitude helps me transform into the best version of myself. And transformation is is really um, accepting where you are and loving yourself exactly where you are. There's been so much struggle in my life mentally and physically, uh, but it really comes down to mental for me. And I realized it was my goal to transform my mindset into everything that serves my highest good and the highest good of others. And that's what transformation is, and essentially is really acknowledging that you are okay in every moment and transforming the mindset of the human that comes in and you're like, oh, there's bad thoughts, and truth thoughts, and really accepting them, but then transforming them and transmuting them into something that serves you. And everything I do really comes down to transformation. Everything I do, people are like, how do you handle this person? How do you handle this situation? Oh, you're so calm about it. Yeah, because it doesn't mean I don't have those feelings. It doesn't mean that I don't like want to just react in a negative way, but I transform it into something that serves my highest good. Like what's going to be what's the best case scenario here? How can I transform my mindset to handle that and act in that way? And that's what transformation is.
When you found that transformation was so important, is that when all of a sudden you mentioned of being of service to yourself, but it's without a doubt your level of service to others as well, again, because that's how I was first introduced to you, was from a friend down in Virginia Beach, who mentioned all that you do for the community. So is that part of that transformation as well, of being of service to you? And when you are of service to yourself and you are in that being, it's, I don't want to say it's a commitment, but it makes being of service to others so much easier. And so do you think part of that transformation was why you moved into this kind of this other phase of giving back like you do?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Transforming had to start with me. And for years, I didn't realize that. I thought that it was my purpose to just serve others and give myself abundantly without taking care of myself. And took a lot of maturity and trial and error and a couple car accidents and just some bad experiences to get me to realize I can't do anything for anybody else unless I'm okay. And really self-love is the highest love. And because if you I mean, you can't serve others and do anything for anybody else if you don't take care of yourself in a holistic way, and in a way that truly takes care of your mind, body, and soul. And I found that once I found that balance, I was more helpful to others and I did way more good than I could ever even dream of. And that was my transformation personally. And then it was just transformation on transformation. It was me transforming and then helping other people just by being myself. And that was a transformation. And then coaching other people through their own transformation. So it was just this it's just this beautiful field of transforming flowers, and it's just growing and growing. I'm just so grateful.
That's so important. And I'm going to harken back to a previous podcast guest who used the word authenticity. And it was the
Mm.
same type. She was very much of service to others, but had neglected herself. And when she took the time to all of a sudden take care of herself, now she felt like she was authentically serving others because it was coming from such a good space. So it sounds like it's a very similar situation here, that when you started to put yourself first, then you were able to take that level of service that you were already doing and taking it to a much higher and more, perhaps more authentic level of service.
Way more authentic, way more real, way more effective. And really, I didn't realize self sabotage was in servicing others sometimes, you know. There's I mean, that's another thing freediving helped me realize is my mental health, that it was improved. Freediving helped me improve my mental health by, um, just being still and being able to analyze what was going on. And there was so much self-sabotage going on. There was so much, you know, being a martyr, you know, that's my archetype, is a martyr. And I didn't realize it. I thought it was the rescuer, which is not that good either, but the martyr, you know, giving myself up in the name of, you know, just other people and or other causes. And really, I found that I could do way more and achieve greater things just by making sure I'm okay. And then just from that spawned all these new opportunities and you know, I'll also live a little longer probably.
Right. So you can't free dive every day. So do you have any daily practices that you use to keep yourself in that self-love, in that calm, in that tranquil area, so you are able to service? Are there any things that you do to help on a daily basis?
Ooh, yes, I have so many uh so many amazing like daily practices that I have trained myself to implement into my life. Right now, to be honest, it has been in the last few months, it's been really tough um, to balance. I haven't been freediving in the last couple months, just since I was on America's Got Talent, and my life kind of shifted to performing more, and my business is growing a little more, and I've been out of balance, honestly. And recently, I started using my tuning forks to, you know, the C and G to get some daily balance in that. I meditate every day. Uh, I have a daily gratitude playlist, and I can share that with you. I'm so excited to share it. Actually, I've been giving it to my friends, but I made a concoction of songs, and a couple of my songs are in there, and it I listen to that playlist every day.
Oh, I
It's
would
like
love to
if I
hear that.
don't, I feel yeah, it starts off with a little Londrell, Gratitude. It's such a great track, and it just goes through some of I feel like the most healing music, and it gets me right for the day. If I start that off, I do that I brush my teeth and I have that playlist playing, and that has been that has been my constant. But yeah, I would be doing if I was once I get balanced. I'm getting my physical right again, so I'm back into yoga. So that's usually a daily practice, and cardio, working out. But um, while I'm getting back to that perfect daily practice or that most effective daily practice, my playlist has been the steadfast in that for sure. So I'll share that with you.
That would be great. And I love listening to the things that you talk about, and all of the things you talk about just reinforced the self-love. Your daily practice isn't to go do something for someone. Your daily practice is to meditate for you, to listen to the gratitude song or the gratitude music. And all of the things that you mentioned were about getting you balanced. And I think that's such an important piece. It's some, for me, we haven't made the announcement to anybody yet, but the next piece of the Mill app is that we're going to be doing, I don't know, actually, as I'm talking to you now, it's transforming in my head that I haven't decided if it was going to be
Yeah.
character health or character wellness, but part of me now thinks I want to just call it balance, where we're actually going to
Mm,
be, I'm going to be producing 10-minute daily meditations for folks. So,
nice.
so now every day they can log into the Mill app and they'll have a different daily meditation every day. So that's actually one thing, because meditation, I also meditate, but I also try to spend a few minutes in the morning where I try to send out 2 or 3 text messages or emails to just let people know that I appreciate you and thinking of you and those
Beautiful.
types of things. So I would love to listen to your playlist. I think that would be amazing. So what is next? Where where are you focusing your efforts now, and where are you headed over the next 6 months to a year?
Ooh, I love your questions, by the way. These are
Thanks.
um, next for me is actually, it's a little different than it was a few weeks ago. Since being on TV and the pressures of like keeping the keeping the hype going and staying in the wave of that. I'd fallen into some unhealthy practices. I was in front of the computer for hours and hours and hours, and some of it was writing music, some of it was just busy work and just staying on top of all that. But since then, and I just traveled to, I did some shows over in Spain. I got some time to myself to really reflect on what I need um, for my mind, body, and spirit. And I've decided to take a couple months off. I'm going to be going to Bali in January and unplugging from social media. I'm going to be following a program for like a mental kind of restructuring program. And you do the same things every day, and I'm really excited about it because I do well with structure like that. And
Okay.
I'm going to be doing some free diving. I'm still going to be working on my businesses and writing some music, but I'm taking some time off and really focusing on my transformation that I've started a while ago and been going back and forth about. I struggle with weight a little bit, so I've been going up and down and up and down. And I really realized, especially now that I have this opportunity to share my music with a bigger stage in the world, I really want to come from the most healthy place I can. And that's what I really want to represent to anybody who follows me or anybody who sees my music is authentically being the best version of myself. And that's something I realized I need to do is just take some time away from uh, that since I'm able to, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to take some time away from my normal, especially in the winter. I don't do well in the cold. I get I get seasonal affect disorder, but also like even though I'm from Michigan, I go as far south as I can usually in the winter time. But a friend of mine invited me to Bali for a couple weeks, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a chunk of time in because this is the off season a little bit for musicians, and I'm gonna really give myself the best chance at transformation and come back healthier and stronger and more mentally tough. So I'm really excited about that.
That is exciting. And again, it's just so important that to be able to take the time, like as you said, you are fortunate enough to be able to take that time. But sometimes 5 minutes, 1 minute, just every
Mhm.
single day. It doesn't have to be 2 weeks. If you have that ability, that's amazing. But if people can just take a little bit of time, then it's yeah, it pays huge dividends. And for us with the mill, that means adventures. I mean, this you going to Bali is an adventure. You know, we define adventure as embarking on something where the outcome is uncertain. And so
Mm.
that could be learning to play the cello. It could be learning to cook a different type of cuisine. It could be ballroom dancing in your living room. It could be climbing Mount Everest. We are so intertwined as a human race. We just have
Mhm.
so many similarities when we can all take the time to be balanced and calm down and filter out the ego and filter out the outside noises that we really are. We have so many similarities.
We are all one, and the more we acknowledge that and highlight that, the better off we are, I believe.
BJ, I have to say this was there's a few people that I've met in my life over the course of this that I feel like I'm the fortunate one, and you were one of them. Because, like I said, the more I learned about you, was I listened to other podcasts that you were on without even putting the correlation to what my friend Amber said down in Virginia Beach, and then looking at on your Instagram, like, yeah, I was following you on Instagram already. So it's it's just interesting. So
So cool.
I'm so fortunate, and I appreciate you taking the time today to chat with us. And I love the word transformation is such a powerful word. And hopefully at some point, maybe you'll get another word in your head and we will sit down and we will do this again. But I appreciate you taking the time today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about the mill and so excited to dive in and follow along on all the adventures of everyone and just be inspired. Just thank you so much for having me.
I'd like to personally thank BJ for taking the time to sit down with me today and talk a little bit about character and a whole lot about transformation. There was so much wisdom shared in this episode by BJ, from the importance of self-love, the importance of balance, how music plays such a major role in his life, and how freediving has opened up a whole new level of transformation in his life. I also appreciate you taking the time to listen to these episodes and would encourage you all to download The Mill. We talked a lot about The Mill during this episode, but The Mill represents what we think is the new social media, where we eliminate a lot of the things that we don't like about current offerings, and we try to provide a platform that is all about inspiring you to go live those adventures. And within the platform, we try to make it a little bit easier for that to happen. So I encourage everyone to take a few moments to download The Mill, share it with your friends, and give it a little test ride. If you like the Character Talks episodes, please take a moment, like us, share us, put a review on both Apple and Google. That would be greatly appreciated. Most importantly, I hope you found some wisdom in this podcast that you can take and make your day a little bit better. Most importantly, have a wonderful day and go adventure.